Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Techcast with me, 9.
Me 4.
I'm 2.
Me too. Anyway, we're back with another great new weekly story. Today I will be hosting as 9, and I'm here to educate these fools on what's been happening last week. And there's been I want to say it's been a busy week. You know, usually we have a lot of news coming out, but it's been kind of slow, but the stories we have are substantial. So, let's get moving. Let's get moving,
Let's get into the news. Come on.
Hit us with it.
So first things first, right? PayPal has made news by going into the cryptocurrency market now.
Oh, wow.
So this is big, right? You guys know PayPal is one of the, it's a huge, avenue for a lot of, young people with payments and stuff like that. Not as much as Venmo, but, they also own that, so it's fine. But it's been widely grown up. It's been more accessible. And now they're even becoming much more accessible with the fact that they're entering the cryptocurrency market. So you're able to buy, hold, sell cryptocurrency directly with your PayPal account. At the moment, it's only limited to 4. So you got Bitcash, Litecoin, Bitcoin, and Ethereum are the 4 supported right now.
Yep,
interesting.
And only for the United States. It'll be slowly migrating out to users, so it's not a one-hit launch thing. It's more kind of like a transitional period for a lot of USA accounts out there. And
so is this like buying Bitcoin directly?
Yes. So essentially, you'll be buying any amount of Bitcoin directly from the funds from your PayPal account, and you're able to hold it and sell it at any time.
That's nice.
Now, follow-up question to this, because I know a big thing in the U.S. is now recently with the different tax policies in place, you have to claim all the Bitcoin and stuff you bought. I think it's classified as an asset or some shit, right? But whatever it may be, does PayPal actually help you with those tax forms, or are you still on your own for that stuff?
I assume they do. If I remember, I don't know if you guys work with PayPal a lot, but with PayPal, they kind of sometimes do tax statements and stuff like that. If you kind of change your account to kind of like a work or merchant account, right? So I don't know how well that extends with cryptocurrency. This is still a new thing, and I believe that type of support will be migrated and probably be added soon. But definitely,
because Coinbase, I could speak from Coinbase, my old experience with Coinbase, right? Unless you have a Coinbase Pro account or some shit, you're kind of on your own for taxes, right? Which is a pain in the ass. But that was just my general question here.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the cool thing about Coinbase and PayPal is everything's there, statement wise. It's all pretty much organized. And PayPal's been kind of a forefront in keeping that kind of information easy accessible for users to digest. So this is really cool. What do you think, For?
I think it's really interesting, right? I'm kind of happy to see the cryptocurrency market, and all these new innovations happening. Even now that the crypto bubble is popped still and hasn't really recovered, and I don't know if it ever
popped.
will,
Isn't Bitcoin at $12,000?
Yeah, but the bubble still popped, right? Where's all the hype? The hype is gone now. You don't have everyday people buying cryptocurrency anymore.
That's
back
true.
To investors. It's turned into just an investment now. It's not
it's not a people currency.
Yeah.
For the people, by the people.
But it's cool to see people still moving forward and innovating in the space. I like it.
So to give a little more clarity on this type of news, right? Dan, the president and chief officer of PayPal, he said that this is the shift to cryptocurrency was inevitable, right? It brings clear advantages in terms of financial inclusion and accessibility, its efficiency, speed, and reliability of the payment system, and the ability for governments to distribute these funds to civilians quickly.
All right, well, I can't wait for Venmo to have it because,
yeah, I thought. Oh, well, actually, thank you for saying that too, because cryptocurrency for Venmo will be planned for the first half of 2021.
Oh, man, now
and that's big.
Interesting.
This is big for one important reason, and I think 9, you brought this up. I think 4, you brought this up last TechCast. Venmo has its new debit card, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So all those debit cards will actually be crypto-enabled debit cards now, which is gonna be insane.
Ding, ding, ding. Exactly. So it's going to be big. Not to mention that, I mentioned earlier, Venmo is hugely popular with the younger audience. I'm talking about college students, even high school students. It's widely popular.
There's your bubble. The bubble is returning.
The bubbles come back. Now, also, further news, investors really like this. Really like this. After this news is dropped, even though the NASDAQ dropped 0.3% that day, PayPal rose 5.5%.
Not surprised.
And it's its highest ever closing share price to date now.
Look, if any of you guys run a company and it's running on the stock market, one, I doubt you're listening to us on this podcast. But if you are,
hello, invest with me.
If you are, just say the word crypto, AI, machine learning, and boom, your stock's gonna go up 10%, right? I can pretty much guarantee it overnight.
So you're saying if I say
it's buzzwords,
blockchain,
people love buzzwords. I don't know what it is.
So if I was to blockchain, do money show up in my account instantly, or is there like a 3 to 5 business day wait?
It doesn't matter. You said crypto, then boom, 5% went up.
I gotta start saying that word more often. But anyway, let's move on.
Crypto.
This podcast is now worth $1 million. Like,
anyway, next big news. We're gonna be talking about Intel.
Okay.
And now we're going the other spectrum. You know, PayPal did well. Intel, seen better days. So Intel's chip sales fell short. And as a result of that, shares have slide 10%.
Oof.
So this is, I think, a really good indicator of how the market is moving, and in terms of, because of the pandemic, what kind of things we are right now. Mm-hmm. Essentially, Intel missed their third quarter revenue estimates for its data center chips units.
Data center chips?
Yes. So mostly the sales of chips in general, right? This is they claim that the pandemic pretty much destroyed sales, only really having government and business customers, and it pretty much fell from 7% to 5.9 billion. Mm-hmm. Good amount, but fell short. Essentially, but they also say the pandemic have gave Intel a boost in terms of laptop sales. So, you know, as employees and students, have now suddenly migrated to work from home, right? You know, people have been, splurging on laptops and stuff like that. So in that aspect, they're doing well. But in chips and data centers, since, it hasn't been working well and the whole pandemic has been mixing everything up, it's been kind of hurting them a little bit. So what do you guys think
this
about
is interesting. This is really interesting because, we were talking about this the other day, not in particular about Intel, but, where we really speculated on the whole, PC parts market, right? Because, us in, our group chat, we always talk about building PCs and destroying PCs and stuff, right?
Destroying?
So it's we were talking, well, at least in my case. So NVIDIA is an interesting one because we talked about NVIDIA and the new graphics cards they came out with, right?
Oh, yes.
So it's I'm sure NVIDIA probably had an amazing quarter considering no one was able to buy their graphics cards online. But, this is interesting on the Intel perspective because I think this is just the first blow to Intel. I think the next blow to Intel is really going to come once Apple announces their official new Silicon Macs, right? I think that's when the next blow to Intel is going to come because it's going to be oh shit, they just lost the whole Apple market, right?
You're 100% right. I think Intel has been, unfortunately, been kind of stale in the last few years.
I think it's seen better days,
Yeah, it's starting to make, for at least me, this is purely my opinion, but it's starting to feel to me like how IBM was.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
After their heyday and innovating and stuff like that in the 70s and 80s, they kind of fell into this role of just data centers and just providing
service. Rest on your laurels.
Well, we'll see, right? Because here's the difference. Processors will keep moving forward, right? The innovation on a processor won't stop. So.
But will that innovation come from Intel, or will it come from new players like Apple? Apple's been going nuts lately.
Well,
right?
I'm not even thinking about Apple. I'm thinking about AMD. AMD has been pushing real hard in the last few recent years. They've been really, they've been really pushing a lot, and not only just making high cores chips and with really good performance in terms of I'm not even talking about gaming. I'm talking about workshop applications like Photoshop and those things. Mm-hmm. But they've been making it affordable.
AMD's always been the forgotten child, so this is going to be interesting to see how AMD plays into it. Believe it or not, I see Microsoft entering this market with their own chip. Now that I think Apple has done it, I think Microsoft is just waiting to see how Apple performs in it. And if Apple kills it, which there's a 50-50, I think more 75-25% chance they do, right? I see Microsoft doing the same thing with their lineups on the Surface Books and everything.
I mean,
we'll see.
I definitely
imagine that under, to be honest, but we'll have to see.
It's a big job. You got to remember too. It's very big to take on just going directly to chips. It's not saying Microsoft can't do it, but it's a lot more headache for them to not also implement that in all of their product lines. But we'll see. Maybe they go the Apple route. Anyway, now we're going to start away. Some more bad news. This week kind of just title this week the week of bad news. I'm
God damn, man. Maybe you just got it from bad sources.
I can't control the news. The news controls me. Now, the next one, you're going to be delighted if you're not an Apple fanboy. or if you didn't buy the new Apple iPhone, because there's some bad news. The new iPhone. Basically, the battery sucks.
So that's great.
I told you this was gonna happen, right? I told you. I expected this. The whole 5G rollout,
you did tell
I
us.
knew the battery was gonna be terrible.
So to give concurrence,
it's funny because what was it? 4? You called this out like what 3-4 weeks ago when we first announced the 5G.
Yeah, we talked about this. This was not an issue that's coming out of nowhere. This is something like Forrest said. We talked about this. I think during our what was it?
5G. I think we talked about during our 5G episode.
Yeah, we talked about it during our 5G episode. We talked about how the power hungry it can be, especially during early adopters for this.
Another chip, more antennas equals more battery consumption. Like it's come on, Apple. How did you not see this coming?
So basically, as the iPhone 12 has been launching across the world, users are seeing very troubling results regarding their battery life. So there were some benchmarks being played with these new iPhones. And essentially, you're getting, to put this in perspective, the regular iPhone 12 lasts 8 hours and 25 minutes over AT&T's 5G. Last year's iPhone 11 whopped on 11 hours and 16 minutes over 4G. So you're talking about you're losing about...
That's a drastic difference. But what I'll say here is that 8 hours of battery time is still a shit ton of battery time. But like...
I mean, you gotta remember that it's not really though. It's not really a lot of. If you think about it, 8 hour battery time. That's 8 hours on a one conditions because it could be 8 hours of. Yeah. It could be ideal conditions. Most likely, we're not gonna always give it the ideal conditions. You could be just trying to video stream or playing games like you were earlier.
Just put Snapchat on the background. Your battery's gonna be gone in about 2 hours.
100%, and not to mention that with every battery, those times are when you get the phone new. Those 8 hours go down every month, 100% dramatically.
You can't even go spend a full day at the beach or the amusement park without having to charge your phone in the middle of the day now.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is Apple's gonna have to innovate. I think we see a 12s in next year's lineup saying, "Hey, we fixed the battery problem, guys. We fixed it."
100%. And to give to the idea of this, it's not just the 5G that's the true culprit. This is one of the big problems, but it's another issue what Apple decided on. And the thing that they decided on was to have a smaller battery. So
I mean, physics just tells you smaller space, less power,
So the iPhone 11 has like a 3000 millihertz battery. Mm-hmm. The new iPhone has a 2800, so about 200 less.
That's a big difference there.
That's a big difference, and
it doesn't sound a lot. It doesn't sound big, but guys, it's a big difference.
Well, it's not a big difference, but the problem what really amplifies the problem here is that you're decreasing the battery the same year you decided to introduce 5G.
Increasing consumption and reducing the amount of milliamps of your battery, like those two things.
Exactly,
it's a double whammy here.
It's a double whammy. Now, this is all purely because of the decision to make the new phones thinner and also smaller, as you see with the new iPhone, and lighter with that new iPhone mini and everything like that. So this is a purely design decision that Apple decided to go through, and they're paying the cost.
My question here is this just iPhone 12, or is this affecting the Pro, the Max, and the other lineups as well?
This is affecting pretty much all of them across the board. Only the 12 has been tested thoroughly. It makes sense. I mean, like Forrest said earlier, as you decrease the capacity and the consumption increases, it's going to affect no matter what kind of phone it is,
Well, I got to go and text a couple coworkers and a couple family members who already got the iPhone 12. So this is going to be an exciting conversation to have.
It's going to be good. I mean, if you get the Pro, what is it, the 12 Max Pro, whatever, you probably won't feel it as much because it is a bigger phone, right? So, I mean, they were able to put a bigger battery, but you're still going to feel that performance. Now, of course, you could always just turn off the 5G, which, again, like I said, if you turn off the 5G, it goes up, I think, almost 2 hours. Yeah, almost 2 hours of time. It goes from 8 hours to 25 minutes.
That's if the consumer goes in and actually turns it off, right? Not the average consumer is going to be like, I don't care.
I mean, yeah, but I would hope the faith in the average consumer knows how to turn off 5G.
Most people aren't even going to know that turning off 5G will give you better battery life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Like, we're getting these news from, like, tech blogs and stuff like that, right? These guys have somewhat of an, I want to say somewhat because I've seen other blogs, but, like, I would say somewhat of an adequate grasp on technology, right? Go tell your
100%.
grandma who just got the new iPhone. Be like, all right, grandma, you gotta turn on 5G. Let me know how that conversation goes.
Look at this camera, so beautiful.
Like,
I mean, yeah, 100%. To be honest, though, I mean, we've been in this situation years ago when 4G first rolled around, right? It was plagued with issues. I remember how calls were dropping left and right for the early adopters, and again, the performance issue was a big thing. Batteries were being drained more quickly than 4G. We've been here before. Again, if you're an early adopter of the technology, you're gonna face the punishments of being an early adopter. It's gonna happen, you know. But hopefully, you know, technology improves, and you know, be able to make it more efficient use of the 5G network over time.
But right, so we'll see the 12S in next year's lineup, guys. You heard it here first. 12S is in next year's lineup. Like,
I already got my pre-order in.
Battery life.
I already got my pre-order in. I mean, if you think about it, it's a true Apple move to create the problem this year to solve it next year.
To solve it next year, right? It's true.
That's innovation. Really. That's innovation.
It's going to be the 13A.
Ooh.
13A, B, C.
They're taking out Google.
13 and the A is for big ass battery. That's what it's going to be.
Big ass battery.
Right. Anyway, we're not completely stepping away from Apple now. We got one more news indirectly. I don't know if you guys heard of Johnny Ive.
Yeah, no. What about Johnny Ive?
He's been hired by Airbnb.
He's a contractor though now. He left
a couple
years ago. He's a consultant now.
He has his own new firm. His new firm is called forgot what it is. So it's a weird
what it was called.
Love from. So he made a new firm. If you guys didn't know, he used to work for Apple. He was basically the head.
The Apple. Yeah.
He was basically to quote his achievements. He was responsible for the design of several generations of the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, and the first Apple Watch. So the original design of the Apple Watch, that was purely him. He is known.
That's only modern. Like you forgot about the iPods, the old Macintoshes. He's done everything.
As I said, Macs, iPods, iPhones. I said that. He was known as Apple's co-founder and Steve Jobs' spiritual partner. That was his title given to him. And he was also the key design of Apple's new campus and redesign to the retail stores that we see now that are famous across all nations. So this guy has a huge reputation behind his line. You know,
and side note, he's also a very avid car lover who's known to get into a bunch of car accidents. Right? It's really funny. You guys should check it out. But yeah,
well, it's 1 to 1. If you're a car lover, you're gonna love car crashes, I guess. But yeah, so he left I think it was like last year. He left Apple to start up his own firm, Love From. And you know, Apple already reported that they're going to still be working with him through his firm. But Airbnb announced just recently that they're going to be hiring his firm and indirectly him to work for Airbnb. So
it's a good move. It's a good move. But my main question around this is, what are they hiring him for? Is it for a tech stack or is it like houses? Like, what's it for?
So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that too. So essentially, he'll be Airbnb is trying to push for design for differentiate themselves in the online retail booking space.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So basically, what the idea is that he'll be helping in essentially helping design their websites and mobile apps. You know, making it more differential, kind of like, you know, spurring design first and kind of pushing that innovation. And more importantly, they have their own backyard group with experimental product team that helps develop and design houses. And his expertise in product design will be highly efficient in that team. Yeah. So there's definitely work for him. They haven't specified exactly where his expertise and efforts will be completely focused on. They mostly lay this as a special collaboration. And not to mention, Airbnb's chief executive officer, Brian, said that him and Ivy are longtime friends. So, yeah, you can see why he was hired.
All right, Johnny, let's see what you got up your sleeve, because he's been, honestly, ever since he's left Apple, right? I think he left a few years ago. It's been a while, actually, but he's innovated some amazing tech things, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with next. It's always exciting seeing things from Johnny.
Very cool.
What do you think? For I'm kind of curious on your perspective on this. You know,
I mean, it's a big space, right? Like this whole like digital design, marketing, differentiating yourself from your competitors. Like this is like probably one of your fastest growing industries over the last 5 years. And like, you know, the fact that now this guy who did a lot of really, really good work for Apple is going to kind of, I guess, lead this industry now. single-handedly, he's probably become the new top consulting firm for that
You're
type
right.
of work.
For design, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
100%.
It's not surprising at all, right? I mean, Apple's done so well. Everything he's worked on has done, gangbusters on the market. So, consumers love his work. I mean, I'm Airbnb, good on them. If I had the money, I'd hire him too.
It gets the people going. His designs are just, they speak volumes every time Apple drops something new.
The news of his hiring alone is echoes and is worth the money alone just to get the attention. One thing I also loved is that Airbnb, I don't know if you guys know this, has his own typeface, which echoes a lot with, Steve Jobs' design focus back in the day. He was always about typography and the different types and stuff like that. So Airbnb definitely, I would say it's a perfect playground and company for Johnny to, step back into the shoes and work with someone that's not Apple. So we'll see how it goes. All eyes are on him. But that's all for now in terms of him. Now we move away. And we get to something a little bit more good news now. How about that? It's spooky month, right? So let's have some spooky news. And some of the spooky news we have today is games. So, even though festives have been canceled because of the pandemic, trick-or-treating is not going to be as fun this year, unfortunately, and a lot of special events have been canceled. Video games and the video game industry as a whole has been stepping up to provide some real spooky events across all different platforms. Aww. And so I'm excited just, with the pandemic coming out, I'm going to just do my service and kind of list out, if you're out there, enjoying spooky month and you have a smaller sibling or you just don't know what to do this spooky month, there's some great events for you guys to check out.
Wait, let me guess. And, Fortnite's got some Halloween events.
They got it. So that Fortnite is one. Fortnite is one. So Fortnite has brought back their popular...
Minecraft is probably another.
It is. I will kind of. Let me go through them. Fortnite has brought back their popular Fort Mayor's Halloween event. It is essentially players can now do challenges and stuff like that and basically get new customization and options, spooky month themed, of course. And they also updated the whole map to have basically a whole spooky month aesthetic to it, right? The whole gameplay mechanic is also real interesting. If you guys don't know what Fortnite is, it's the battle royale kind of game. So if you die, you're out. This case with the new game mode, if you die, you become a zombie.
Oh, that's so cool.
And awesome. You can't use the gun anymore, but you have new special abilities. Essentially, you can jump and roam and grab, and you can still help out your teammates even when you're down. So that's
I finally have something to do in Fortnite.
Finally, two can actually contribute to us winning. So that's cool. And on Halloween night, they're gonna have a Latino music artist, J Balvin, performing.
J Balvin?
Yeah, he's gonna have an in-game concert in Fortnite.
Oh, that's awesome.
So big news for Fortnite, and Fortnite's not the only one. As Stu mentioned earlier, Minecraft is also making news. In terms of the actual Minecraft game, they're not doing anything. Just Halloween packs and discounts on them. However, the other game, Minecraft Dungeons, is doing a special event. You can do challenges and stuff like that, unlock Halloween-themed costumes and armor and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Call of Duty Cold Warzone has been also recently announced their Halloween event, and it's making big headlines. It just started this week. Essentially, it's a new limited time mode, which adds similar to Fortnite, a Halloween theme across all their maps, and a scavenger hunt throughout the whole map.
Okay.
And it's bringing some classic horror franchises, including Saw and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So you can buy their outfits and dress them up. You could dress up as what's that guy's name? Jigsaw, and hunt down some players across the map, and Leatherface, and just go into town and just really carve up some wins.
Yep. And
it's just like Fortnite, they're also changing up the game mode. So if you die in this new zombie royale mode, you actually become basically a zombie, and you have new abilities. You can jump really high, you can grab opponents, and you can still actually get revived as a zombie if you kill 2 players and syringe yourself back up to a normal player. So it's a huge twist. Battle royales have been really kind of changing their things up. Some light notes at Pokemon Go is also doing it. They're also doing the Halloween event, and Animal Crossing.
Pokemon Go still exists.
Well, hold up.
Pokemon Go still go.
How could you forget? Among Us is decorated for Halloween.
That one I picked up on.
Among Us is also decorated, and I guess since we're on the news, Among Us has also recently announced that they're the developers have recently announced new updates are coming to the game real soon.
They've also announced Among Us 2 is on its way, to be determined at what time though.
No, I think they're focusing on 1.
No, I got an in-game announcement actually 2 days ago that says we are focused on Among Us 2, but the release is to be determined. But they'll leave the servers up open for 1.
That was the old announcement.
All right, well then maybe my notifications are delayed. I don't know, but we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, it was an old announcement. I still get it sometimes. It's an old announcement from like 3 months ago. Since the game blew up, they now decided they're only going to focus on the first one and completely cancel the second one.
They're
so the second one is
putting Among Us 2 inside of Among Us 1. They're going to like rebuild the game pretty much from the ground up.
Yes, and they said one of the biggest features going to be coming real soon is an actual friend system. So that'll be really nice.
Thank gosh.
So that's going to be really cool. So as Spooky Month may not be the same as other years, and the pandemic has made damper on some experiences, you can still enjoy some of these spooky themed events throughout this Halloween.
I'm looking forward to them having actually hosted games on Among Us because I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's actually quite a problem with hackers in Among Us recently. And
yes, they actually did notify that in their update.
If you don't know why this happens, it's because pretty much all of the features are handled on the client side, right? So you as a user, if you were to input the kill command while you're a crewmate, it's just going to go off, right? The only thing that's removed is the fact that you don't have a kill button, right? You don't have the button. You don't have the ability to do it like through your I guess interfaces. But if someone was to just write code that would call the kill command, bam, now you've killed someone while you're a crewmate, right? I'm sure you guys see where I'm going with this. It's just kind of bad
100%.
entitlements and
bad.
I guess I know what I'm doing tonight.
Push or not. I forgot to mention. Thanks for reminding me. For the other big update, aside from the friend system, was they're going to update the whole server architecture too. So those two big features are basically what will be coming out. Not a lot of like content wise, but necessary changes that are needed to really solidify the experience. So we'll be seeing more from them real soon. Anyway, enough for games. We're moving on to the next thing, right? Some more tech stuff. Ubuntu 20.10 has released, but with full support for Raspberry Pi.
Oh man!
Whoa!
So essentially, with this new update, you can now, I believe, for Raspberry Pis 2, 3, and 4, get a full desktop experience.
With
got me
excited now. That's game changing. You could run the same exact operating system now on your microcomputer that you can on your full desktop. That makes it such a seamless experience.
I gotta go update my Pi like right now.
So if you guys didn't know, what we're talking about right now. It used to be for Raspberry Pi, you needed a special Ubuntu that was primarily light, essentially, that was optimized for basically Raspberry Pi's lighter hardware and allowed to run still kind of seamless. But with this new update, they basically have changed the architecture and allow for full desktop experience. And this will be really well with the new Raspberry Pi 4, which has now 8 gigabytes of RAM. So,
oh hell yeah, it is!
Buying one of those, maybe 2.
So
I did snag one of those. I will say it is awesome. Like
it is amazing.
That's literally a whole computer inside of that one Raspberry Pi, which Raspberry Pi was like $100, right? And it's like, honestly, it is probably one of the best purchases I have made this year. I would personally say that.
And wow. Just right now, live on the podcast, said that he's going to be buying me a Raspberry Pi 4. Thank you.
Now he's making 2 best purchases of this.
2 best purchases.
Also, since we're on the Raspberry Pi news, I mean, I don't think we reported this, but Raspberry Pi also announced, I think last week, their Raspberry Pi 4 modular component. Nice. So if you guys don't know what that is, essentially they have, aside from their Raspberry Pi main entry of lineups, they have this modular one where you can basically buy a modular board and you can buy modular chips for Raspberry Pis. They had it for the 2 and the 3. They finally did it for the 4. And with the 4, you basically can customize how much RAM you want, how much VRAM you want, and stuff like that. So you can get pretty experimental if you want something specific for your needs.
Wow.
And the prices actually do adjust with how much resources you get. So that's pretty cool. But yeah. So Raspberry Pi has been really blowing up. They've been doing great in this, and honestly, I'm really excited what they have in the future with all these microsystems really rising up with popularity. It's gonna be really excited to see how this stuff.
It'll be a lot of fun.
I have a lot of great ideas already with what to do with these. Anyway, let's go on to our last story, and it's a big one. It's the only big story, right? And I made it the last one because it's pretty big, and it's with QuickBit.
Quibbit.
So this has been blowing up. Quibi?
Quibbit.
What? Wait a minute.
I forgot how you say it.
I think it was
saw the ads
Quibbit.
like 37,000 times and ignored it.
Quibi.
Quibi. That's it. It's
Quibi. Okay, Quibi. You know, maybe part of the reason was that no one. But essentially, after 6 months after their launch back in April, they just completely have said in an open forum that they are shutting down. It's pretty sad news to see a company shut down. But just
Amazon's happy.
Amazon's happy. Yes, Amazon's happy. In a way, I guess Disney's kind of happy. Just because the founder, if you guys don't know, the founder is what's his name? Jeffrey
Katzenberg. Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Who, if you don't know, is the guy who made DreamWorks, a huge rival of Disney's animation studio.
Have you guys heard Shrek? Yeah, that was his job.
But here's the thing, right? Like, I don't understand why anyone would care about Quibi. It's like it's a completely separate market, right? Like, Quibi. Let's say that I did want to actually use Quibi. I'm not like it's not replacing my Netflix watching. They're different timed events. Like, I think at least, right? Like, the whole way they market it was like, oh, you gotta go wait like a few minutes for a like all the ads I got. It made it look like, oh, you're waiting to pick up your food. Just a Quibi, sir. Like blah 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 blah.
Just a Quibi, sir.
Just a Quibi.
It sounds like
that's exactly what. That just sounds stupid to say. Like
right. So like that it didn't even look like they were like edging in the same market because like I'm not gonna sit there and watch Netflix while I'm waiting for my food. That's gonna take 5 or 10 minutes, right? So like it served a good purpose. I think that they just killed with advertising. When I see your ads 75,000 times, it makes me not want to download your app. So,
well, that's the thing. Also, we got to clarify, right? They had a lot of money, so they're starting up.
They got $1.75 billion.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to see a startup with that much of basically a starting fund. Yeah, runway essentially, a starting fund to really go out. Usually they have to struggle for a bit, have to prove themselves, but you got to remember these guys, they're not nobodies. They kind of prove themselves. Like we said earlier, Jeffrey is the leader of DreamWorks.
And the other one was Meg Whitman. If you guys don't know Meg Whitman was she's an American business executive, right? But she was the head of P&G, Dropbox, and a bunch of other board member positions she holds. So she's well known in the business.
She's well known. So it's not a big surprise for them to be able to conjure up all this money from investors. They said they attack a lot of top executives to like pitch them in and invest in this. And they have experience, so it made sense that it seemed like a good bet. But sadly, a lot of people are trying to it's a really good story for anyone who's into like enterprise businesses and stuff and entrepreneurs. Because it's a really good, curious case to look into. Because essentially, they had the backing, they had good leadership, but the timing was all wrong. And some may even say the vision and the goal was kind of wrong. A mobile-only entertainment seems kind of not my idea.
So Jeff himself, right, sent an email to all employees after he told them they're laying them all off. Besides telling them to listen to a song from Trolls, he was like, yeah, he basically just admitted that the idea was kind of suckish and that the pandemic really screwed them over. But like, it's hard to say here.
I'm telling you, I don't think it was a terrible idea, okay? Because I think it had its small use cases, right? Like I said, oh, you're just getting food real quick and there's a short wait. Okay, maybe I can watch a quick video, just keep myself entertained, right? Like there's times when that would have been interesting for me for people to have. And if the content was good, I'm sure people would have watched it and would have used it. But I think you're right. The pandemic, for one, it killed all those niche use cases that people would have actually used the app for. And two, they over-advertised. I think they over-advertised. Like I said, maybe it's just me, but when I see so many ads for the same thing, the last thing I want to go do is support that company because now you've just invaded my life by force.
Yeah, but to your point, I really didn't see the appeal of this. Like, why would I could easily just check social media instead of watching a short video on Quibi. And more than likely, I probably would just end up on YouTube going on one of the random recommended for 15 years ago that they always throw at us, right? And call that a day.
See, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes I just get very, very bored scrolling through social media. And there's only so many posts on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, right? Like I can only scroll through so many things. And if I finish that on the car ride over to the store or whatever, let's say I just didn't have anything left.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing what Quibi could have done to maybe save them is I don't know if you guys been to those gas stations around us, right? That have like those little TV monitors on the gas station that they're showing random news and stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I think that would have been the perfect market for Quibi if they were aiming for that. But because they were targeting your phone and doing a bunch of other stuff, it kind of just fell out of hand. But we could speculate all night. We can speculate all night on this, but
it's a weird case. It's a really weird case. You know, it partly could be because of the pandemic. Like Forrest said, the pandemic has killed pretty much those niche cases that you would use this completely. A lot of people even clear outside that. Hard to say if it's 100% the fault, but it's definitely a factor in the play.
Yep.
And honestly, it wasn't, for me at least, it wasn't an idea to even. I would enjoy it. I would still say strongly that if the pandemic wasn't happening, I probably still wouldn't be subscribed to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, that was another episode of Techcast. Hope you enjoyed hearing all of this news for this week. Go ahead and make sure you're going to check us out on social media at the 429 Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube channel.
Our website, the429podcast.com.
Yep.
And other than that, we look forward to being able to talk to you some more, and we'll catch you in our next episodes.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.